Welcome to the Great Reboot. I'm Tori Ryden. The COVID fallout in America starting in March with stay-at-home orders and the shutdown of non-essential businesses. Well, the way has been very murky for restaurants and movie theaters and so many different companies that rely on in-person retail exchange. Suddenly they are rudderless, you could call them. No way forward. They don't know what's going to happen with the whole fallout and the aftermath is going to be from COVID. All I know is they're losing customers. They've lost a lot of money and a lot of people have been out of work. So talk about timing. It was just before all of this doom and gloom started that three bearded men, I'm going to call them, came together with this pretty fantastic idea. And I think it's remarkable. I'm going to go back to, timing is everything. And our very special guest, Luke Livingston, joins us now. And I want to welcome you, Luke, to the Great Reboot.
Thanks, Tori. It's good to see you again.
It's great to have you here. So much has changed in your life. First of all, you have a new baby. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, my daughter Harriet was born. Speaking of navigating the COVID water, she was born on April 19th, right in the thick of things, a COVID baby.
In time, right? So that must have been kind of the bright spot for you. I mean, it's just been such a weird time for everybody. Was Harriet named for anybody in particular?
My legal first name is Harold, so it's the feminine version of my first name, but also just a name that that we love and grew up reading Harriet the Spy, and it worked.
I've always been a big personal fan of Harriet Tubman.
That too, absolutely.
In third grade, I did a big book report on her, so I've always had this soft spot for her. So welcome to the world, Harriet, and welcome to the world, the Brickyard Collective. And we're going to talk about what brought you up to that in a second, but tell us a little bit, if you would, Luke, about the Brickyard Collective and what this is all about.
Yeah, the Brickyard Collective is three, as you said, bearded men and fans of adult fans of Lego, which is an homage to Lego in our name and our logo. We can get into that later, but the core of the business is, for lack of a better term, a business consulting firm here in Portland, Maine. Although we're not as crazy about the term consulting, we like to think that we kind of embed in projects and in business with our clients and really kind of go to battle together rather than being sort of drop-in consultants. But we're the best way we've found so far, and it's still a work in progress. We're still honing the pitch, but the best way we've found so far to describe ourselves are that we offer all of the traditional services of a traditional PR and marketing firm, but where those firms, if you envision the sort of Venn diagram, a traditional PR and marketing firm may have the left side of that Venn diagram, but we also have the ability to provide the right side of the Venn diagram in the sales and marketing strategy. So not only can we go get you the PR and the media attention and the marketing attention, the eyeballs of a traditional firm, we can also work with you to develop a sales strategy and a go-to-market strategy and a distribution strategy so that any company, regardless of what industry or niche they're in, has the ability to capitalize on that media and marketing attention and turn that attention into revenue.
Okay, so in a bit, we're going to come back to the word battle. Okay, so remind me if I forget. But Luke, I mean, you have such a rich history from a business standpoint, and just to give some background to folks, you founded Baxter Brewing Company in Lewiston, Maine,
yep.
And ramping up to that place, it was the passing of your mother was it 2012 when she passed away?
2009 that she passed away.
2009, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, started Baxter Baxter started selling beer in 2011.
And you decided that you needed to do something like really follow your passion and follow, her words of wisdom, right?
Yeah.
Life is short.
That life's too short moment. And you and I have talked about it several times over the years now, but it was one of those, life's too short and screw it, rest of my life to pay off my bills if things don't work out, leap of faith kind of moment. and continue to not look back, I guess. So.
And that leap of faith was very successful for you because you launched this amazing kind of different kind of brewing company, Baxter Brewing. Let's talk about that for a little bit because I think that plays in a big way into what you're doing now because you understand.
For sure. Yeah, Baxter is now the third largest brewery in Maine. Had just around 70 employees when I left in Q4 of 2019. Having been the founder and president of the company for just about 10 years, and was the first brewery in the country to brew 5,000 barrels of beer in its first year of business. The 2011 New Brewery of the Year. I was the first person in the beer industry to be named to the Forbes 30 Under 30 list back in 2012. Maine Biz Next 20 list, Maine Magazine 50 Mainers lists, All About Beer Magazine 30 Under 30. So several awards back then, and grew the company to over $5 million in sales and 8 states of distribution before I sold my interest in the company and left late last year.
That's a lot of pressure. I mean, to have achieved so much at such a young age, and then you did your own pivot shift, and you decided to kind of go a different path. So why did you, I guess, go in that direction? And the piece of that pie that you were talking about, that Venn diagram that you're talking about, what's kind of your strength in that whole? What's your Lego piece in all of that?
Good. For me, there was a whole myriad of reasons of deciding on the next chapter. We could probably spend an entire episode just talking about that next aha moment. But the easiest things to describe are certainly 10 years to me felt like a mark in history. I had never done anything for 10 years before. And so it felt like a really good time to look for something new. I discovered about myself that I am much more passionate about the startup phase than running a company. And Baxter had found in a woman named Jen Lever, who became the president at Baxter after I left, somebody who was really capable of running the company. And not only running the company as it was today, but really able to bring that company into the future. I felt comfortable leaving things in her hands. It made it an easier decision for me. Beer industry itself has changed dramatically over the course of the last 10 years. Baxter had the 16th license to make beer in Maine, and there are 152 now. In 10 years time is just very different than it used to be. So kind of all those things adding up to me wanting to explore what my next move was. And that leads us to Brickyard. As far as the side of the Venn diagram, I think through my experience at Baxter and fundraising and starting Baxter and expanding Baxter, I certainly had plenty of media opportunities over the years, a ton of earned media opportunities. That's how you and I first got connected, and a ton of marketing experience, although not nearly as rich media experiences as one of the other Brickyard partners, and not quite as rich marketing experience as another one of the Brickyard partners. So I guess the area that I focus the strongest on is that go-to-market and sales strategy side. I think we're a great mix because the three of us have very, very complementary skill sets, and we've probably all got a little bit of everything, but then each, are strongest in our lanes.
So I think that's you play this really important part in your company because you are an innovator, and I totally hear that's what you thrive on is that vision. And then, so I guess I'm wondering with Brickyard Collective, you're really trying to, and this is where the battle comes in, that word, a lot of companies, boy, imagine the tough luck for some companies that started truly just started in February or March.
Yep.
And they've got this great idea and then stopped right in their tracks. And so talk to us, if you would, a little bit about, how are you helping these companies through that battle we're calling COVID? And then, that whole shift and the pivot, and how are you helping them to kind of understand what they can do to actually not just survive, but thrive beyond it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me personally, like I, talked about loving the startup. And I think that's what's exciting about Brickyard for me too, is even once we become, someday an established company, the work we're going to be doing is always with either startups or companies that need to, like you said, pivot or restart. And so I get to scratch that itch personally forever, vicariously through our clients. So selfishly, that's exciting for me. And I think that energy and enthusiasm is seen by the clients we have so far. And in full transparency, we are also brand new. We're also going through it. We got our EIN from the feds on St. Patrick's Day, which was the same day that everything shut down.
Right.
So
there was no luck there, was there? No.
So there's a camaraderie piece as we are navigating the waters and the battle with our initial clients. But I guess that probably may start to answer your question. The companies we're working with so far, I think this time has been a blessing to some in that including Brickyard, because it allows time to refocus and kind of re-business plan. It pushes projects that may have been summer of 2020 to suddenly summer of 2021. But also us being a brand new firm, we are willing to be innovative and scrappy in the ways in which we work with our clients and our partners. And we've gotten a little creative in the ways in which we have structured our agreements, or from a payment and contractual perspective. We've been able to, kind of build in some commission deals that, non-traditional methods of payment in the consulting world. But yeah, I don't know, maybe that's just the optimist in me, but it's given everybody, including Brickyard, that time to refocus.
I would love for you to give the web info so people can check you out.
Yeah, check us out on it's brickyardcollective.com is the easiest way to find us, and there's links to all our social media profiles right there on the website, or drop us a note at hello@brickyardcollective.com.
Okay. You're talking about kind of unconventional, different kinds of ways of doing business. Does that include bartering? I mean, are you finding yourselves doing, like different like that? Because it seems like, a lot of people are now really transforming the way they do business, radically, just so they can feed their families. And
yeah. Bartering was probably easier when I had as much beer at my disposal as
True.
I've been used to bartering for most of my career now. I used to get shoes and yard work and all sorts of stuff in exchange for beer. Now it's kind of the other way around. Our first official client is a really neat startup in Portland called Back 40 Adventures, and they rent on-demand camping equipment. And hopefully the other way around. Now I can borrow a tent in exchange for.
Well, it's interesting that you talk about that company because you're hearing about people doing more staycationing, and here in Maine, camping is king. Yeah. So does that bode really well for that company? It might be kind of a duh question, but yes. And what else? What have you done to help kind of shift them to reassure them that it's going to be okay?
Yeah, they honestly, we haven't had to do much. They are also optimistic and fully on board with the Staycation marketing initiative. and are pretty involved in it. What I think what has been nice for them is that we have taken off of their plate. They're going to go out and raise a bunch of money, and develop additional sales channels. They want to develop a B2B platform. We're doing that work for them as sort of the de facto sales division of the company, so that they can double down on telling their story and building the Staycation marketing initiative, and sticking to what brought them to the big leagues of direct to consumer rental programs of outdoor equipment, and camping gear, and we can take all that, the mess of everything else, and take it off their plates, and we can focus on that and let them do what, like I said, what brought them to the big leagues.
All right, so let's talk about your partners, because I want to hear the Lego piece of this.
Cool.
You kind of intimated earlier about that.
Yeah, so working with me at Brickyard is Whit Richardson. Whit is, you probably know, Tori is a veteran of the main journalism community. He was a print reporter at, I think he cut his teeth at Main Biz, and then he was the business editor at the BDN for several years, and then a business reporter at the Press Herald, until about 4 or 5 years ago when he left reporting for a career in corporate communications for a publicly traded cannabis company. So he spent the last 4+ years working for the man and working in the cannabis industry, which is a whole new skill set and obviously really, really valuable to the main business landscape here. And then our third partner, Jacob Eslinger, was most recently the marketing manager for the Holy Donut. And speaking of great things, great previous barter.
Wait, let me get this straight. Pot, beer, and donuts. Yeah, what?
Exactly. Match is made in heaven. Yeah, it's no wonder we all get along so well. And prior to the Holy Donut, Jake was part of the team that opened all of the Buffalo Wild Wings franchises in Maine and New Hampshire, and has been in the hospitality industry for close to 30 years. So, you know, and is a personal chef and a graduate of the Culinary Institute of America as well. So, you know, as I mentioned, very complementary and dovetailing skill sets, but obviously each in our own lanes. But one of the tying factors is that we all three have such an affinity for Lego. And it's sort of, I've known Jake and Whit for going on 10 years. They didn't know each other previously, but after I left Baxter last fall, I was reconnecting with old friends and had lunch with the two of them within about 72 hours of one another, and was talking about how, you know, kind of tongue in cheek, joking about how I had, in my retirement now, was spending so much time with my 6-year-old boy, rebuilding all the Lego sets from my childhood that I had recently gotten back from my nephew, and whom I had loaned them 2 years ago. And so I was rebuilding everything from my childhood with my son in my retirement. And through those conversations, it came out with both Whit and Jake that not only did they have an equal affinity for Lego, but we're also thinking about leaving their day jobs to start a career in consulting. And, you know, sort of all three of us had the same conversation at the same time, and came to a realization that it would be a lot more fun if we partnered together and worked together as opposed to careers on our own.
Your Facebook page, I checked that out a little bit. You've got some Lego, homage to Lego.
Absolutely. You know, they sort of write themselves, honestly.
You know, I love the fact that just kind of hearing their backgrounds and knowing your background, I mean, all three of you have eclectic and really rich backgrounds. It's pretty cool to see just you're multi-talented in so many different ways. And I can see how you could feed off each other's energy and all of that. So I guess, you know, the big obvious question is, what sets you apart from other companies that are doing kind of the same thing? And is it a time thing? Do you feel like you can deliver in a quicker way or a more thorough way? I mean, I know that you said you're not your typical type of, marketing company. You're much more, you've got a lot to offer. But I'm just wondering, because there are some companies that are doing a lot of things out there.
Yeah, I think, to some degree, yeah, it's a time thing. It's a creativity thing. But most importantly for us, we've been there and done that very recently, and all of us for the entirety of our careers to date. It's been a learning curve, in fact, for us to deliver work for other people. I think, we've all done the work that we are offering for partners and clients, but we've done it for ourselves and our own companies. And so, the learning curve for us has been now offering it to other people. But I think that's also our, point of differentiation is that we have for the entirety of our careers done everything that we're offering. Whit has been on the other end, on the receiving end of press releases for his entire and media pitches for his entire career. And, I have built a $5 million sales network and worked with dozens of distributors themselves for the last 10 years. And Jake has opened some of the, biggest chain restaurants in the country and retail shops in the country. And then worked with, everybody from the Food Network to Bon Appetit to building a huge Instagram following with the Holy Donut. So, we've done it and lived it.
The stock market is coming back. Things are beginning to come back, although just read in the New York Times that, or CNN, or maybe it was a compilation of both, but or combination of both, that there's still so many states that are slipping in numbers with COVID, with coronavirus cases, and ERs are going to be packed again and all of that. What's your take on, kind of not just the medical healing, but I guess I'm thinking the economic healing, and as you're kind of looking ahead, are there any cautionary tales that you're giving, that you're sharing with companies? Is there anything that you're suggesting they hold back on in certain places? And I'm just curious, how do you, obviously you're giving them a lot of energy and you're giving them a lot of optimism and all of that, but is there anything you're hedging on that you think, okay, hang on a second, this could come back and bite us in the rear again?
Yeah.
I'm just curious what kind of advice you're giving to those companies.
I think, working with us gives clients the opportunity to, in some ways get 3 chief marketing officers for less than the price of one. Rather than going out and hiring a expensive, communications department or marketing department or sales department at a time when there is a lot of caution, particularly around hiring at expensive levels, expensive positions. We can offer a lot of that same work for, when you do the math out, a fraction of the cost of hiring somebody internally. With especially when you aggregate our collective years of experience. Hopefully that starts to answer your question.
Yeah, and I think that, unfortunately, there have been so many layoffs and restructuring, and I guess people are going to have an eye on that as well. How can we handle this? How can we manage this maybe in a different kind of way? And I would imagine that's where you come in. So what's next for you guys? I look at you and I think this must be really exciting for you, because in the news business, the great piece about that is you're doing a story, and you do the story, you finish the story, the next day you're on a different story. And so it's constantly changing. And even though you might still think about that story, it's not like a lawyer who has a case that lasts for 3 years. So it must be kind of energizing for you.
Yeah. Sort of as I alluded to earlier, I think I have that sort of business ADD where I have almost too many ideas and want to tackle too many projects at once. And so just, again, personally, Brickyard's incredibly fulfilling because I can work on 6 or 8 different clients a month and different projects and different niches and learn about different industries. And, you know, we have a client right now who's developing a fintech app for the independent film industry. So I get to do a deep dive into independent film at the same time as I do a deep dive into outdoor recreation and CBD distribution and product development. And so, yeah, that's just, it's personally really fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting stuff. What are the other companies? I'm just curious, how many are you looking at right now? Or are you trying to keep it, you know, kind of a limited number, or can you take on a lot? I don't know what your capacity is.
That's a good question. We have, if there is a limited number, we haven't hit it yet. we have a little bit more capacity currently, which is exciting. Like I said, we've only been public about this since mid-March. But despite that, have had incredible amount of outreach from prospective clients, and several more that we're working on contracts with right now. As I mentioned, we've been able to get a little creative in the ways in which we bill folks. And yeah, the support's been awesome. The people who wanted to have meetings with us, we've been, doing everything virtually. But that's been really helpful because it has, pre St. Patrick's Day, we were hyper focused in all the wrong places. We, being business consultants, we should have known better, but we were, just this shiny object. We got excited about looking for office space and thinking about designing our office and going to visit potential office spaces. And then, suddenly at the flip of a switch, everything was on Zoom. And, but it's been really nice because it has forced us to focus on finding business and, it's given us the opportunity to practice our pitches, make sure our statement of work and our contracts are all sound, and make sure our website has all the information it needs to, because there is less, face-to-face selling involved, and it's forced us to do our own internal sales and marketing strategy, our own go-to-market plan. If we're going to offer those to clients, then by golly, we should do one for ourselves first, and so it's been good.
That's awesome. And maybe in the end, you don't even need a building.
Right.
It's a funny thing. I've heard that from a number of people, and it's totally reversed, just like you said, kind of the order of importance, and it really focuses on that. Well, Luke Livingston,
last week outside though on the Eastern Prom.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, we got to-go coffee from Bard's takeout window, and we had one meeting sitting in Tommy's Park and another one sitting on the Eastern Prom when the sun was out. And that's a trend. Even once we do return to normal, whatever that looks like, and if that is office spaces, I really hope the outdoor meeting sitting on the Eastern Prom, or for an ice cream cone somewhere, I want that to continue, because that's been awesome.
Well, I'm with you in that camp. I think it's excellent, and I think that this has forced us to look at so many things in a very different way. And I wish you all the best, and I'm so excited for you and Brickyard Collective, and I can't wait to see your Legos. So maybe you can put up a shot someplace of all of your designs that you're doing.
Oh, that's a great idea.
I love it.
Share the personal collections.
Yeah, that would be great to see that. And I just want you to pass it along to the other bearded men that we say, keep up the great work, and all the best to you.
Thank you so much. It's great to see you again.